My name is Prashant. I'm working as a MuleSoft architect. So in this today's session, we are going to start with the DataWeave libraries. So this is the first session for DataWeave libraries, and I'll try to explain you what all prerequisite activities we need to carry out to start developing your first DataWeave libraries. So before starting, let's try to understand what is DataWeave and what was the need of having these DataWeave libraries. So DataWeave is basically a MuleSoft language designed for data transformations and mappings between different formats, right? So such as JSON, XML, and CSV, flat files, and many more. So it's primarily used in MuleSoft application to process, transform, and integrate the data from various sources seamlessly. So if you want to convert any input request format into any output request format, we are basically using DataWeave in MuleSoft. The latest data version is DataWeave 2.0, and now let's try to understand why were DataWeave libraries introduced, right? So as project grows, right? If you're working on any project and over the time the project get increased based on its complexity, based on the works and all those kind of stuff. So developer often reuse similar logic or functions in multiple places. So writing the same transformations repeatedly leads to duplication, inefficiency, and difficulty in maintaining the code. And that's the reason to solve this problem, DataWeave libraries were introduced. So with the help of DataWeave libraries, developers can now store the reusable functions, variables, and logics in one place, and they can basically import these DataWeave libraries into different their projects, and they can reuse these DataWeave libraries, or we can say they can reuse the functions which is present in this DataWeave libraries for their particular use case. And this will also ensure the consistency across all the projects. This will reduce the duplication, and of course it will make the code easier to maintain and scale. So let's try to understand what DataWeave was before and what DataWeave is now. Now as in after introducing the DataWeave libraries. So this is the image of what DataWeave was before. So before DataWeave, we used to DataWeave was generally used to do the transformation, to transform the input format to output format. And we generally used that in our Anypoint Studio. We didn't have any other IDE to use our DataWeave code. So that was a limited code editor we had. If we want to do a testing of DataWeave code alone, we didn't had any way to do it. The only thing was to test the whole API at once in our local studio. So either we can run that our API, or we can deploy that in a debug mode, and then we can test if that is working fine or not. If that same DataWeave code was, if you want to use that in other project, there was no any platform to, we can deploy our DataWeave code there, and the other developer from the other project, then they can, pull out the code from that location and start using it. So there was no any official deployment platform to deploy our DataWeave, and even there was no any maintenance platform where we can maintain our DataWeave code, maintain the versions of the DataWeave code like we can do in Anypoint Exchange for our APIs and assets. Okay. So this was before, and let's try to see how it is now after introducing the DataWeave libraries. So for creating the DataWeave libraries, we can now use VS Code. Along with VS Code, we can also do the development in Studio, but VS Code also provides some other benefits. So that's the reason everyone is doing the development in VS Code alone. After that, if you want to do a testing of the DataWeave code, then we can do the testing as well now in VS Code. So they have provided a testing framework, and we can now debug our DataWeave code to see what all things are happening in each and every line. Okay. Now we have a deployment platform which is Anypoint Exchange, and there we can they have provided a plugin to deploy our Anypoint to deploy our libraries to Anypoint Exchange. So with this we have that Exchange support now to deploy, and the same we can now maintain, because we can maintain the libraries with the versions and everything. So this is how the DataWeave is now after introducing the DataWeave libraries. Now let's try to understand what all softwares you will need before you start with DataWeave libraries development. So the first thing is you need to install the Java version. So just go to this website, and you can get the Java install in your local machine. Just proceed with the installation path. And once installed, you need to configure that in your local environment variables. So for that, just search for the system environment variables, and go to the environment variables, and under the system variable section, just add one entry. So right now I have that entry available, but for you, if you don't have, just click a new, and just add one entry with name Java_home, and this will be the variable value. So it will be a JDK base path of your Java folder. Okay, this is the first thing you need to configure. Along with that, you also need to configure the same thing in the path section like this. Either you can do like this, or either you can have a whole path like this. Okay, so there are some scripts and there are some functions on your machine who uses this path variable to identify where the Java is installed, and there are few things which uses Java underscore home variable to identify where the Java is installed. So better to have it configured in both the both the ways, so that you will not face any issues in future. Okay, so this is how you can configure, and once configured, you need to check if that configured values are correct. So for that, go to the command prompt, just type java underscore java hyphen version, and you can get to know that which version is basically installed on your local machine. Okay, so once this is done, the second thing is you need to also install the Maven in your local repository, in your local machine, sorry. So go to this website and get the Maven downloaded. You can download the source zip file, okay, based on your operating system. And once you have downloaded, you need to configure the same value in the environment variable. So similar to Java, you need to configure the Maven as well, like this, Maven underscore home, and this will be the this will be the path for your Maven Maven software. Okay, along with that, you also need to configure that in the path variable like this. Okay, and once configured, just verify if everything is in place with this command maven hyphen version. So you'll get to know that which version is basically installed on your machine, and also the Maven home path, okay, and few other details. Okay, so make sure whenever you're downloading the Maven, it should be above 3.6.3 version. Okay, so that's all for Maven. Once Maven is installed and configured and verified, just get VS Code editor installed on your machine. So you can, so for VS Code, you can directly type on Visual Code Editor download, right? This one, and you can download based on your operating systems. So this is basically if you have your personal laptops, but if you have your enterprise laptop, you need to reach out to the respective admin team to get it installed. So once installed, make sure before installing, make sure that, you are installing this version or higher, okay, so that our DataWeave libraries will be supported on this platform. Once VS Code is installed, you need to add our DataWeave extension in the VS Code. So once installed, you'll get to see the VS Code in this way. The window will look similar to this. After this, go to the extensions and just type DataWeave. Okay, and you'll get to know, you can just type on this option, click on this option, DataWeave 2.0. It's still in beta version, and just click on install. Okay, so it might take some few seconds to get it installed, and once installed, it will ask you to restart the system. So go ahead and restart your VS Code. Okay, so for me it's installed now, and let me close this and restart it again. Okay, and once it is installed, let's verify if it is configured in our VS Code. So go to view command palette and type DataWeave. Okay, now you'll get to see these many options: new integration mapping, new library project, new mapping, new module, new test, and all those kind of stuff. Okay, so we'll go in depth in each of these files in the upcoming sessions, but this is how we can verify. And once you get to know once you get to see these kind of options as well, that it means that it is installed and ready to use for you. Okay, so till this point we are done now. Till this point we are done now. And the last thing is we need the independent platform account so that we can upload our DataWeave libraries to Independent Exchange, as well as download that so that it will be useful for any other projects. Okay, so either if you're doing it on your own, you need to have a free trial account, get it created first, or if you're working on for any customer, they might be having their enterprise licensed account. So just have the credentials for that account, and you need to enable this permission so that you can upload, you can start uploading your DataWeave libraries to Exchange. Okay, and once you have the Anypoint platform, there should be some business group which is allocated for you, or you have a permission to access the details on that specific business group. So just get the business group name and just get the business group ID of that business group. Okay, so this will be needed when you want to deploy your exchange to Anypoint, when you want to deploy your libraries to Anypoint Exchange. Okay, so for us, let's try to create a free trial account, and let's go with each and every step. So let's go to Anypoint platform, and sorry, this is the first thing. So I'll just go to sign up. I'll just add my credentials. Okay, and I'll use the username something like DataWeave Libraries 182. Okay, and the password will be DataWeave Libraries 182 at the rate 123. Let's see if these credentials are available. All right, so these credentials are available, and I'm signed up with these credentials now. So I'll just keep these credentials handy somewhere so that I can use it afterwards. All right, now let's try to find the credentials for the business group. So let's go to the business group section. We have only one business group for now, and the name is freelancer. So I'll just go to that freelancer. I'll just keep a note of that name in the notepad, and the group ID, I should be able to find it here. This is the business group ID. So we'll need this business group ID for the deployment. And for the sake, you can also make a note of the client ID and client secret. So let's have this client ID copied, and let's have this client secret copied here. All right. Okay, so we have all the things, all the necessary, prerequisite activities completed now, and that's all for today's session. So in our next session, we'll start with the basic DataWeave libraries, usage. So firstly, we'll try to use the existing DataWeave libraries, whichever is available in Anypoint Exchange, and after that, we'll try to create our own libraries, and we'll try to deploy our own libraries to Anypoint Exchange. All right, so that's all for today's session. Hope you like it, and thank you.